there, and welcome to this edition of the book with me, Susan Bell. Today we're going to be looking at a very interesting book. It is a book written by ELECTA LUMNWI. It is her first publication, and this book is already making waves, or this book is already on the lips of everyone. Why? Because it treats themes that are very, very crucial, such as rape, homosexuality, bribery and corruption, you name the rest. Well, we're going to be talking at length as far as this book is concerned in a short while. Time for me to usher her in. Please come in, Electa. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you on this set.
Yeah, thank you.
Please sit down.
Thank you.
Do you like drinking coffee?
Of course I love
Okay,
coffee.
let me offer you coffee. And then
Thank you.
we are going to be talking at length as far as your book is concerned. This is coffee made in Cameroon, okay?
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, tell me, Electa, it's your first publication. Are you satisfied with this achievement?
To be very honest with you, yes, I am satisfied with the feedback, but that doesn't mean that I'm satisfied with writing. So it's just a starting point for me to kick off from.
Okay. Yeah. You describe yourself as a very good storyteller, but I should say that the story of Delphine, I should say Delphine is one of your protagonists, the story of Ariel as well, the story of Peter, the story of Ulysses, can just be the story of someone out there.
Actually, you know, Susan, literature does not come from a vacuum. Yes. So we look at situations that happen in the society, and we try to kind of feed it in for others to get the lessons behind and then see how to cater for their own lives.
Let's talk about the story of Delphine. Give us a brief summary of the story of Delphine.
Okay, Born Out of Wedlock with the semi-protagonist Delphine is a semi-adult fiction, a novel that explores the stigmatization that a young girl undergoes because she is raped in school through betrayal, and because of that she gets pregnant and the parents reject her. She faces a lot of difficulties in her pregnancy period to the point that she dies while giving birth to the baby. And the baby she gives birth to grows to have, like the mother's life is being replicated on the daughter, and that child has to go through a lot of situations that were really challenging for her. But in the end, like we always said, if there is hope, there will always be light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the circumstances that led to the ordeal of Delphine. You mentioned that she was raped, and of course, this was due to peer pressure, as well as drugs, as well as gang. These are issues that we need to frown at them.
Exactly. You know, often than not, we think that predators are only on the street. But the very institutions where we put our students are often characterized by some of these things that people overlook. Peer pressure is at different level, but when it comes to teenage peer pressure, it's very dangerous because they go out there, they come from different backgrounds, they have to imitate and all of that. You see people getting into gangs like the Blackbirds in the book. They get themselves to take drugs, which cause them to do a lot of havoc, and they end up regretting after. These are issues that we need to hit hard on. So we shouldn't only think that we have predators on the street.
I just want us to come back to this issue of gangs, because we've noticed that in many schools today, gangs as well as drug consumptions in our schools today, many people are being affected. How can we do in order to, as parents, as institutions, in order to reduce that?
To begin with, they say charity begins at home. So parenting starts from the child's mother and the father. If there's no good upbringing, definitely the child is going to replicate what the child sees at home. And when it comes to institution, those heading the institutions are supposed to be parents. Those are second parents, because schools are like kindergartens. People come to school under your watch, so you have to to instill in them not just academic knowledge, but knowledge that is going to help them socially and cater for their own environment.
Okay. Let's take our first break on the program. It is titled Forward. And this time around, we're going to be listening to he who wrote the foreword of Born Out of Wedlock, none other than Ngong Christian. Let's watch.
The pleasure of reading a lot of novels throughout my entire life, but Chair Electa's Born Out of Wedlock has uniquely impacted my experience. This piece of writing is so special in the way she handles and tackles sensitive topics like rape, corruption, homosexuality, and peer pressure with a lot of courage, passion, and empathy, allowing her to craft relatable characters and stories that truly resonate with the audience. And now, through her advocacy, she has successfully raised awareness, sparked conversations, and also inspired change. And her experiences and expertise and let me say personal connection to these contemporary plagues have added authenticity to the piece of writing. And I believe that through Born Out of Wedlock, the author has potentially, impacted readers' perspectives, inspired action, and contributed to societal change. One can confidently tell you that it is so easy to eradicate all these societal ills, but we can be able to mitigate corruption, peer pressure, homosexuality, and others. And to do this, it requires a multifaceted approach that involves individuals, communities, organizations, governments. Everybody needs to come on board for us to fight this. And now, if everybody comes on board, we can challenge systems of oppression and promote equity, empowering marginalized groups. We can foster a culture of respect, encourage empathy, kindness, and respect for human rights. We can support community-led initiatives, empower local organizations and initiatives, driving positive change in our communities, and we can also encourage international cooperations. Now, share best practices, collaborate on solutions, and also support global efforts. And finally, we can lead by example, demonstrate integrity, empathy, and commitment to creating a safer and more just world. And remember that eradicating corruption and rape requires sustained effort, collective action, and long-term commitment to creating a more equitable and just society. As parents, let's create a safe haven, let's create a safe environment for our children where they will feel empowered to share their deepest fears and concerns without any fear of reprisal. Let's talk with our children rather than talking to them, to connect with their hearts and minds. And by doing so, we will nurture a generation that values empathy, understanding, and kindness. And together we will craft a world that is more compassionate, more just, and more loving.
You're welcome back. That was Ngong Christian talking beautifully about Born Out of Wedlock. And you heard him talk about this issue of crimes can be eradicated completely, and he says no. So what's your own take on that?
I think I agree with him. We cannot completely eradicate these problems, but there are ways that we can mitigate them from obsession frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one of them?
For example, talking about rape, we need to learn to be open, have open conversations with our kids such that they feel comfortable when there are certain advances made towards them that they are not comfortable, so they can be able to speak out.
Okay. Well, Delphine was raped, and she ended up passing away while giving birth. A life that has been destroyed, of course. But there is this issue. When she was pregnant, she was rejected by the parents. And the only person who actually was welcoming was the grandmother. Tell me, is this the kind of treatment that people who have been raped should get?
It is very pathetic to see that someone who is already downcasted with themselves is being put in that situation again in the family. So you kind of find yourself fighting two different people. You're fighting yourself and you're fighting the family. It's not proper. People that are raped, usually it's never their fault. And we live in a society where the victims are the ones that suffer and the perpetrators, they walk the streets and they are very free. So it is not about us judging these people. We can have an atmosphere that is comfortable enough for them to come back to themselves, because first of all, they feel that they are dead. They are disappointed with themselves because of what the society has, first of all, instilled in us. Yeah. Like if you're raped, you become dead. If you're raped, these are the names they call you. So these are situations that we need to, as everybody, not just parents, everyone who is around a rape victim should be able to offer some consoling words, make the people feel comfortable to gain back their self-esteem. Yeah.
Well, we understand that Delphine could speak out to the grandmother, but there are others out there who are unable to speak out. What accounts for that? Is it fear?
Like I said, fear is as a result of the societal expectations. We have already been put at a position wherein something that happens to you, which is, of course, not your fault, you begin to look at it from the perspective of what the society is going to say. So they shrink in. They don't talk because they are afraid of judgment. And judgment comes with a lot of stigmatization, depression, and anxiety, which can, in the long run, cause someone to commit suicide. Yeah. So it is about fear. It's about thinking of what people will say.
What society will say.
Yes. But and they don't want others to listen to their story because they don't want to be judged.
So if there was an advice that you need to give to a rape victim, what would that be?
Okay. To all assault victims, we always know that people blame them. Maybe sometimes they find themselves in areas that are uncomfortable. It is not your fault. You have been raped. It has happened. You just have to pull yourself together, see how to move on. And if you are unable to do that, you need to consult someone to talk to. You have services that are responsible for it. You have counselors, you have psychologists, therapists. You can go through this session and it will help you to get back your self-esteem. So the most important thing and the first step to freeing yourself from that stigma is speaking out. Like getting the attention of someone. Sometimes listening to somebody talk without even having the solution is therapeutic. So it is always encourageable for someone to speak out to a trusted person or a close family, anybody. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Electa, we're going to take our second break on this program, which is titled The Vox Pop. And this time around, we took our cameras down there to let the people talk on this issue of rape. So this is the question we asked them. If you catch someone raping one of your loved ones, what would be your reaction? Let's watch what they had to say.
Personally, it's a horrible thing. I'm going to feel very bad, and I'll do everything in my powers to make sure that the perpetrator is put behind bars, and I'll try my best to give the most adequate psychosocial support I can give to my loved one, and hopefully, you know, if I know it's a long process, you know, it's really difficult. I really don't wish this kind of thing to happen to any person, be it loved one, be it somebody that I don't know. In fact, it shouldn't happen to anybody.
I'll easily kill the person out of anger because it's somebody dear to me. So I can kill. Because it's too bad.
If that should happen, I will feel very bad and very angry and aggressive and violent to the person who committed the act on her. Now, secondly, I will need to save her life. I will need to take her to the hospital for checkup and do the necessary treatment and recommended by the medical practitioners.
As quick temper as I am, I can easily kill the person because I'm this type of person that I do things then I regret later. So something bad can really happen that specific moment if care is not taken.
You know, it's a situation where maybe you're shocked and you're panicking and all that, so a lot may be coming my mind, but I think the best thing first is to like pick up a stick, whatever, and first hit the person so hard in pain and all agony. Surely the person will be screaming or shouting, something like that. You have to, but firstly you really need to save the person first. Take that child or sibling first to the hospital for proper treatment.
It must not only be somebody I love. The point is when you meet someone taking an action which is not good, it means you have to at least attend to the person who is being raped, like helping the person in doing any other thing like to save the person. Because the person who is raping is like a thief or like who come to kill, steal and destroy. If there is a possibility, I will call the police by holding him and then call for the police. If there is no way, I want to do for means I can help the person by taking away the person from the person's hand, and then
I'm going to beat without anger that time. I'm going to beat the person seriously, well beaten. And when I beat, I'll just take him to the police. And I know from then the police will know what to do, maybe to the prison or any other action that the person goes to do. And if you know that the person is powerful than you, but when you see it, and you know that the person is more powerful than you, from there you can just go back gently. From there, I call neighbors and come and see what is happening. I think 2 or 3 people know what to do with the person that time.
You're welcome back. Please, can you tell me what will be your own reaction?
To be very honest with you, I don't know what I'm going to do to that person, but I think if I find myself in such a situation, I look for the next available stick I have to hit that person. To be very honest, I'm being honest, before trying to look for help, because sometimes you might want to go look for help and before you come back, the person has done whatever they want to do and escape. So I'm just going to be brutal at that instance. I'll not lie.
You don't need to ask my own opinion because you will not want to hear what I have to say. Yeah. Well, let's talk about this other point of which you raised in your book, homosexuality. And we believe that when we go to church, is to find solace, is to find peace, is to know God. But if church is the place that assaults people, then it's very dangerous. And why am I saying so? Because in your book, we see a father assaulting a young boy, raping a young boy, whereas that child went there to find a safe haven.
Exactly. You know, the very institutions that are meant to protect us are the same institutions that are causing harm on us. In as much as we have this homosexuality stuff that is in a growing pace because of human rights and all of that, but it doesn't mean that you should abuse the human right that has been given to you. So in this case, we are trying to say people hide behind the veil of religion and commit atrocities and they go unpunished. Like the case of Peter, who is being sodomized, that's pedophile, yes. And the child is unable to say anything. So we have a lot of fanaticism going around the religious milieu, such that there are a lot of things that need to be uncovered. They need to be uncovered. People should have the church going there for a safer option and not going there to get what they get for themselves, like Peter. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are going to be having another break on this program. It is titled On the Shelf. And this time around, we are finding out what book editing is all about. And thanks to this specialist, you get to know what book editing is all about.
Stephen King, the great writer, once said, "To write is human, and to edit is divine." The first thing I'd like to talk about is that editing is a beautiful profession. Editing involves carefully reviewing material before it is published and making suggestions to improve this material. The second definition is that editing is the creative, intellectual, technical, and practical process of improving the manuscript to render it publishable. Now, from the first definition, we get to understand that editing is something, an editor is there to suggest. An editor is not there to dictate. That's what many people don't know. They think that if you're an editor, you have the final say. You can tell the author, you can force the author to change maybe what you don't like, but that's not true. A good editor suggests, and he leaves the author to decide to make the change. We see editing from 4 dimensions. Editing has a creative side. Editing has an intellectual side. You have to be creative. You have to be creative to even think of how the cover of a book would look like. And then it's an intellectual work. You cannot edit without being intellectually sound. And that is why you see for different job adverts, like editing jobs, they insist. It's a particular criteria that you need to meet to be able to meet up with that job application. Another thing you need to know is that editing has the technical side. If you want to edit, you want to be an editor for a scientific journal, for example, you must at least have basic knowledge of science. And of course, we have the practical side of editing. The most important question that any writer or any editor has to ask his or herself is, who are the readers? If you're bringing your book to me or your manuscript for me to edit, I'll ask, who are the readers? If you, the writer or the author, you're writing out something, you need to ask, who are the readers? Because knowing who the readers are will determine the language that will be used, the format, the design, and everything about the book will be determined by the readers.
Electa, these are 2 main characters of the book. Mother and daughter, that is Delphine and Ariel, had a similar story. Tell me exactly what lesson we should learn from that.
You have a very keen eye on that, Susan. The aspect of double identity is a way for me to hit hard on this issue. Meaning that it frequents. It's not something that happens now and it takes a decade before it comes again. To show how this issue is penetrating the society, not just in Cameroon, but across the globe. So this is something that happens everywhere. Calling people's attention to it. Because all of this rape with children born out of wedlock becomes another problem, because Delphine's own stigmatization is at the level of rape, while Ariel's is that of being born out of wedlock.
Now, this statement of Ariel's grandfather, that nothing good can come out of a child born out of wedlock, do you really think that this is a proper statement to make?
Okay, it is not a proper statement to make, not just to children, not just to anybody. When you look at the question where that's in the Bible, someone asks, can anything good come out of Nazareth. And Jesus came out of Nazareth. So this question is a way to make us understand that people will always doubt our abilities. People will always doubt what we can do. They give their own limitations based on what we want to do. So people reproach you, tell you that you cannot be this. But that is a lie, because if somebody tells you, Susan, you cannot walk 10 kilometers in an hour, it is their limitation. It is not yours. So the grandfather is only looking at what he cannot do and transferring it to the daughter. Do not allow anybody to limit you. That's just the plain truth behind it.
Where are the copies made available?
Okay, a copy of Born Out of Wedlock is 2,500, and you can get it directly from me through the number 6500888492. And then you can equally reach out to me on my email, LUMNWI4@gmail.com. And you can equally have this book on a seller. It's already available on seller. So you just get to me on WhatsApp through that number, and I'll send you the link to purchase yourself. And it's actually 2,000 francs on seller.
That is it on today's edition of the book with me, Susan Bell. It was a pleasure being in your company. And of course, I will leave you with this word saying, take it as it is and not the way you want it to be. Thank you for watching, and see you some other time. Bye-bye.